Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Tuesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers need to win twice before the end of the season. Are they trying to make one of them tonight? We'll explain next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how where you get your podcasts. This one's always free, never behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube, Andy, is where over 34,000 subscribers are just trying to figure out exactly how the Lakers are going to triangulate the rest of the season, because the people who are better at math than us, it's basically everybody, have figured out that if the Lakers win two more times out of the four remaining games that they have, the Lakers, they own the tiebreakers against all the teams they're chasing. So despite that are chasing them, despite the fact that the Western Conference 3 through 8 is still, almost looks like a statistical tie with everybody separated by no more than 2 games, the Lakers actually have a third advantage. And with all the different tiebreaker scenarios, they come out ahead. So if they win twice out of their last 4, tonight in Oklahoma City, tomorrow in Dallas, Friday against Houston, and then it would be Sunday, the season finale against Portland. Win 2 of those, and they're a 3 seed. It appears, Andy, that the Lakers are being strategic potentially about how they approach these 4 games and which of the 4 they intend to try to win. And it may not be tonight's rematch in Oklahoma City.
Some would say strategic. Some might say playing a bit with fire, playing with your food. Some might say the way the schedule breaks down, it's probably just going to work out in their favor no matter what. But the Lakers have put out their injury report for Tuesday's game in Oklahoma City, and Rui Hachimura, and remember, this is the first end of a back-to-back. Rui has not been playing in back-to-back since his return from that knee injury. He is ruled out already Tuesday versus Oklahoma City, which in and of itself feels like they may be valuing the Dallas game on Wednesday, Luka's return against a Mavericks team that has still something to play for. They are trying to, at the very least, get themselves the 9 over the 10 seed at worst in the play-in race. Right now, all of the play-in teams, or at least all the teams that are eliminated from the play-in, including the Portland Trailblazers, the Lakers' last team, which matters just in terms of Portland having something to play for, or in this case, no longer. That is all settled, but the order of the teams in the play-in and which teams there are still has not been settled. So Dallas still has something to play for, and that's going to be emotionally charged with Luka and Anthony Davis and all that stuff. Rui is out for that game. Rui is out for Oklahoma City. And then the following are listed as questionable. Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reaves, Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent, leaving Jared Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes, and Jordan Goodwin as the only solidified
wondering what
player.
They did wrong to have to play in this game.
Well, you need a certain amount of active players, and they're the lowest men on the totem pole. But those are the only 3 members of the solidified rotation that, for the time being, are slated definitively to play in this game. Everybody else is in flux, which makes you wonder if the Lakers have decided to punt this game in Oklahoma City with the idea of really putting themselves in the best place to win this game against Dallas, more rested, more refreshed, and also maybe the idea that it just may not matter in the end.
Possibly. I mean, I will say this first. This is why the Lakers carry around a spare LeBron James, because this way fans don't have anything to complain about. They still get to see the guy. I can understand why the Lakers look at it this way. The chances certainly, I think, of going in and beating Oklahoma City again after they dismantled them so thoroughly on Sunday, and the Thunder would be highly motivated, to say the least, to come out and put up a different result. You're already playing without Rui. I understand too, even forgetting the back-to-back end of this, the Lakers still have played a ton of games. And so at some point you need to sort of you figure that out, make sure you're not piling on. You have another back-to-back. And of those, that Luka is going to play in Dallas. Like, if it's not a thing, he played really well in the second half against New Orleans, had a great game against Oklahoma City. That does not mean he is not a little bit beat up. It doesn't mean he couldn't use a little bit of rest as we get down the stretch of the season. Wednesday's game is going to be incredibly emotional. It's going to be incredibly draining. And with all that in mind, I think you don't want to set yourself up for a game on Wednesday or Tuesday. If everybody plays, you could still lose in Oklahoma City, and then turn around and put yourself at a disadvantage, because Dallas will be rested in that game and supercharged from an emotional standpoint. So I get what they're doing. I don't consider this playing with your food. There's a risk to it, but I think it's also strategic.
Well, it could be strategic, but it's strategy that comes connected with risk, because if the Lakers, like these zombie Lakers, lose against whatever version of the Thunder, full strength or equally zombie, it's the context is not going to make you worry anymore about the Lakers and how they're going to perform in the playoffs, because, if Jackson Hayes or Jared Vanderbilt is the best player you're putting on the floor in the night, with all respect to those guys, you're not in great shape to win a game. But the loss counts the same.
It does.
And it still puts you now in a position where, without having to rely on other teams, you now have to win two out of your final 3 games in order to solidify the 3 spot without help from anybody else. And that Houston game, maybe Houston by that point is locked into their seat in either direction.
Probably, actually.
But even if that's the case, because they are so young and so inexperienced, and outside of Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, like, nobody on that team who really matters has any playoff experience. I'm not even talking about limited. I mean any. If I'm Ime Udoka, I want to make sure my team stays locked in and focused. So I don't know if I want to sit guys before, unless they're older guys or somebody is legitimately dealing with something. I want to keep them dialed in, because it could create at least more potential pressure or pitfalls with those final 3 games. I'm not even saying that it's the wrong thing to be doing. I'm just saying the risk.
Use the expression. Maybe you didn't mean it this way, but use the expression "playing with your food." That implies a certain dismissiveness of the situation. You're not taking it very seriously, and I don't
to
think
some degree you're not taking.
No, I actually think you are. I think you are taking it seriously. No, I think you absolutely. I think you're absolutely taking it seriously, and you're making an evaluation of what is the way that we are most likely to win the 2 games that we need and keep our players healthy. Given the amount of mileage that we have, given all the other stuff that we've done, what is the most likely way to do it? And I don't think sitting a bunch of guys on Tuesday says that you're not taking your opponents seriously, or that you're not taking the situation seriously. It says this is the way we think we're most likely to get the 2 wins and keep our guys healty.
Maybe.
And so that's, to me, is what it says. If they do it because they're just like in their offices going, we've got it. Like, I'm not even sure we need to play guys on Wednesday in Dallas, or we'll sit guys against Houston or whatever it is. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think this is a calculation that is not dismissive of their opponents.
Okay.
It's a recognition of their situation.
All right, when we get back, I'll explain what I mean by it may not be dismissive of the opponents, but to some degree you are giving these final 4 games unequal urgency game to game to game, which to some degree means taking it less seriously. So talk about that coming up next. Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from the first match, and you must keep funds in your IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC. As of November 18th, 2024, Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
So before we get to your point, Andy, I do want to note the Locked On Lakers podcast is also a newsletter. You go to lockedondaily.com and you click there on Locked On Lakers. You go to lockedondaily.com, click on Locked On Lakers. You get this show delivered to you every day, but also tons of analysis from around the channel. As we get towards the playoffs, Andy, great way to keep up with what's going on with potential Western Conference playoff opponents through the newsletter. And most importantly, you can help us win there's network-wide competition where they're trying to see who can get more people to sign up for these newsletters. And I think you can get yourself a prize too. But most importantly, you help us win. And that really is great. So go to lockedondaily.com, click on Locked On Lakers, and help us beat the rest of the people on the network and show that our show is better than all the other ones. And we'll get you the information about the other stuff, which we probably should have looked up. So much of this, the attention is with Luka and the return to Dallas, and what's that reception going to be like, and what's going to be like in the building, and what is Anthony Davis going to play like, because he's going to be highly motivated too. That part of it is important, but there still is this strategic question of how the Lakers approach these final 4 games.
I want to make it clear. I'm not even being critical of the way they're going about doing this. There are considerations, particularly with someone like Rui. And if you are genuinely concerned about how either LeBron or Luka or whoever is going to be holding up as the playoffs approach, then by all means, don't play any/all of them in both ends of the back-to-back. But we are coming off recent back-to-backs where Luka has played in both. LeBron has played in both. They have shown capable of doing this, even LeBron, since coming back from injury. So there is a certain devaluing going on in terms of trying your hardest to win all 4 games, to give yourself the best opportunity to win 2 of the 4 and clinch that 3 seed without any help from anybody else. And some of the help may come organically in that a bunch of these teams are all playing each other, whether you're talking about Golden State and the Clippers in the final game of the season. Memphis and Minnesota play once. I believe Memphis and Denver, or Denver and Minnesota, one or the other play each other. There's going to be some cannibalizing happening. The Clippers and Rockets play each other. So there may be some work being done for the Lakers, but it doesn't change the fact that they are not fully valuing the opportunity, I think, to win all 4 of these games or put themselves in the best position to win the 2 of the 4. Again, that's not the same thing as me being highly critical of it. I'm just saying there is a risk involved with it, and I just think it has to be acknowledged.
I acknowledged the risk earlier.
But also there is unless it is really truly a health thing, I think there is a devaluation of the fullest opportunity possible.
I don't know about that part. I think is where we disagree. It's just when the cost benefit of having guys play an extra back-to-back, having, yes, they've done it, but they also have struggled at times through it. What the part that I like about it.
Let me put it this way really quick. If the second game of the back-to-back wasn't Dallas specific with the storylines and the context, I'm not 100% sure they play it this way.
They might sit guys on Wednesday instead of Tuesday, but I actually think they probably would sit people.
Other than Rui, I think Rui's the one guy that
right, but they might switch to it. But if you're going to do it, if you think at this point in the season that LeBron, you don't want him playing in a back-to-back, that Luka, you really don't want him playing in a back-to-back, and you want these, if you're going to do it, sit everyone. Don't stagger it. It makes much more sense to sit everybody in one game as opposed to LeBron plays on Tuesday, but Luka sits on Wednesday. Like, make yourself weak and lose in one game rather than trot out 2 75% lineups consecutively. I would not do that. That makes sense. I'm not even saying that's what you're advocating, but I do think I think if they were playing Portland and then Dallas, I think you'd see players sitting out. Well, maybe not Portland because that's so winnable, but a different Western Conference playoff caliber team where, you're running into the situation of 2 really hard games in a row on the road or whatever. I think you would see a lot of guys sitting out one of those 2 games. And it makes sense to me to sit them both out. But what I do think is kind of a good test about this and is that you are kind of setting yourself up for a situation. You're correct. Like, you need to win now 2 of 3. The Dallas game and the Portland game obviously becoming the most important. You need to split the playoff teams that you're playing on, and then win the season finale. And I kind of like that they're putting themselves in a position to have to win some games, to be like, we are putting all of our eggs in fewer baskets at the very least. And we're going to make sure that we are at maximum strength based on what we can do to try to win those games. But we're kind of treating these like early playoff games where we're going to be dialed in. We're going to do what we did against Oklahoma City because they're big stakes, and go out and play these games like playoff games and win 2 of the 3. I'd like that approach, both from from a physical preparation standpoint, keeping guys as healthy as you feel like they need to be, but also competitively, I think it kind of sets a good environment for those final 3 games, assuming, of course, that they really do sit. I mean, you're not going to list that many guys as questionable and then have all of them play. That seems unlikely.
Well, I mean, unless
maybe some of them do, but I mean, some guys are sitting.
Well, it could be, unless you're trying to either dictate or just get an idea of what Mark Dagenau is going to be doing. For what it's worth, by the way, Rylan Stiles, the host of Locked on Thunder, has the injury report up for the Thunder, at least as of 3:30 p.m. on April 7th. And it's basically everybody who matters is available for the Thunder. It looks right now like the Thunder are going to play their actual team, which I will say this: if everybody sits for the Lakers and the zombie Lakers beat the full Thunder, woo, baby. Woo, baby.
I mean, I'll tell you what probably means we're having another one of those, hey, Bronny really played well kind of podcasts.
Well, what I want is, I've been thinking about some of the goofy lineups that JJ could trot out there at times because he may have to. I want to see a Vando at point guard lineup with Koloko, Jemison, Hayes, and Len out there. It's like the D-list version of, remember in the 2010 Lakers when everyone was dying to see Kobe and Artest and Lamar and Powell and Andrew Bynum, like the all big lineup.
Yeah.
This is like the seriously low rent version of that.
It is. It's the equivalent for anybody who grew up playing Nintendo hockey, ice hockey, where you could pick your lineup and you could choose between the fat guys, the middle-sized guys, and the skinny guys. Yeah. This is the equivalent in Nintendo hockey of playing all 5 fat guys, just big across the lineup. So we'll see what that does. I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, it's one of these things. I will respect all the people out there that will complain about the rotations that JJ puts out. I'm going to
complain if he doesn't throw out the lineup I suggested.
Why not? I mean, we might as well have some fun. Put 4 guys on the floor and pretend you're in Hoosiers. I mean, it's all of it works. There's no bad lineup when all these people are sitting. But when we get back though, after the break, I want to get into this Luka, the Luka in Dallas, and then just sort of where we think he is, because every time he has a good game, and we have a lot of people who have come over from Locked On Mavs and our friend Nick Angstad. They're Luka fans. They follow Luka where he goes. And every time he has a good game, we get 3 or 4 people going, it's still not peak Luka. Like, where are the Lakers with Luka at this point? We'll ask that question next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Better Health. This show is sponsored by Better Health. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. But traditional in-person therapy can be really expensive, sometimes ranging from $100 to $250 per session. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. With online therapy, you can get quality care at a price that makes sense, saving you time and money. And therapy isn't just for life's toughest moments. It can help with everyday stress, learning how to set boundaries, or just developing positive coping skills. And having access to support when you need it can make a big difference. I can personally attest to how much therapy helped me and my family during a really difficult period, and just learning better ways to communicate with each other. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
One of the things we've not talked about, and I'm actually kind of curious, do you think there's any chance, because Maxi Kleber is doing stuff on the floor, he's out, he's not going to play, certainly not in tonight or tomorrow. I don't think he's going to play before the end of the season. But they have said, and he is now on the floor moving around and whatever, that there's at least possibility of him returning. That's been what they've said throughout the entire season. Is there, given how thin the Lakers are up front, is there any chance that you think they could put Kleber out on the floor in what essentially he'd be making his debut for the Lakers in the playoffs? You would get a chance to practice. I mean, the first round, you have the week, because they're not going to be in the play-in, so you have that week to practice.
Well, hopefully not in the play-in. Hopefully. We have
they'd
not.
They'd have to.
But just so people understand, they are not definitively out. This is the type of attitude that leads to sitting everybody versus the Thunder.
I'll say it this way: if they continue to sit everybody, we'll say that they're. They're not taking
saying this is how people get ahead of themselves, and all of a sudden they end up in the play-in.
Right.
Attitudes like yours.
Right. Let's assume that they're not in the play-in. You get that extra week to practice. So if Kleber is able to play, you'd at least be able to get some practice, and then you are able to have more workouts during that first round of the playoffs, because there are often 2 days in between games rather than just the one. Any chance he plays? Any chance they could use a body?
I don't think he's going to end up playing if I had to bet on it. Like, I would bet on Kleber never seeing the court in the playoffs versus playing if I have to bet one way or the other. But here's where I don't think it's impossible. Sight unseen, I'm willing to bet that JJ Redick has more trust in Kleber than he does in Alex Len, Christian Koloko, and Trey Jemison.
He's their second best center. There's no question.
Well, I don't even know if he is their second best center. Well, I'm saying with all the rust, with all the whatever, I don't know if definitively he is right now. But what I do know is, and without having even asked JJ Redick, but I know this in my bones, JJ Redick thinks Kleber is better than all of those guys. And the reason that I am willing to say this is Redick very clearly wants to put none of those guys on the floor unless absolutely necessary. And even then, he still won't do it. Like, he clearly does not trust any of those 3 guys.
I'm not sure they're going to play tonight. If all those other guys, we still might not see Alex Len.
That's a bummer for my four big and Vando lineup.
Yeah, that's true.
That being the case, I do think that Kleber has a better chance of being, if nothing else, on the active roster if he's deemed healthy enough to play than those other guys. I would nonetheless, other than garbage time, be very surprised if he did play, just because that's a rough spot to put Kleber in.
Oh, it's a terrible spot. I don't remember the last update other than saw it on Spectrum, like, hey, there's Maxi Kleber out on the floor shooting. And that's not necessarily ready to play. It's one of these things that's been talked about and then we kind of forget about it. And the Lakers have this rotation. And I agree with you that he is 100% in the minds of the coaching staff, more trustworthy in terms of being able to say, here's the game plan. Here's what we want to do, particularly defensively. Here's what we want to do. Maxi, can you do that? He's going to go try to do it. The rest of it, I'm not sure. Fast. Anyway, I was just curious. We haven't talked about it. The thought occurred to me today that maybe it was worth a mention. This game on Wednesday, and we'll talk a little about more, after the game on Tuesday, just because I have a feeling the game itself won't be of much note. What do you expect? Because, nobody is more vengeful than Luka Doncic, as far as I can tell. Maybe some people are as vengeful, but nobody is more vengeful than Luka. There are times with professional athletes where that much motivation and that much intensity does not serve you well. Game 7 against the Celtics, Kobe, it took him a minute. I don't know if that applies to Luka, though. I mean, some guys kind of live for this stuff.
I mean, the truth is we have not been around Luka long enough to really know beyond just any speculation or vibes or whatever.
I mean, the narrative is he's going to score 800 points.
Well, what I think is really interesting about this is he is going to go back to his old stomping grounds and get not just a hero's welcome. Like it'll be like, I don't know, the Beatles showing up and like all the teenage girls in bobby socks, like losing their minds. Like everybody in Dallas misses this guy so badly. And usually when the guy comes back for the quote unquote revenge game, it's against a hostile crowd because typically the guy left or requested a trade. It's rare, if unheard of, to have the franchise player be the guy that wanted to stay. And not only did the franchise move him, they sucker punched him and then tried to badmouth him every which way possible. And none of it has been convincing to the people that they're trying to badmouth Luka with. If anything, it's just pissed them off more.
It's made it worse.
So it's a weird situation where he's going to be coming back in a quote unquote revenge game, but quite possibly egged on by the crowd to light up his old team, like by the home crowd. Like some of these people may want Dallas. You know what? I was about to say some of these people may want Dallas to win, but I'm not even sure. Like, I don't know if the majority of the crowd is going to want to see Luka put up 70 in a loss or put up 70 in a win. Like, I honestly don't know. And then in the meantime, Anthony Davis,
like you said before, Dallas is playing for something.
Right. And they're playing for something. And in the meantime, Anthony Davis, God bless him, it speaks about his character, seems to take very seriously the responsibility of getting the entire city of Dallas off Nico Harrison's neck. Like, this is apparently very important to AD. He came back way too early the first time. By many reports, insisted on coming back during this stretch. Like, you can make a serious argument that it's not in AD or even Dallas's best interest for him to come back. They certainly are risking a recurrence of this injury that's been an issue for him. But AD really wants to get Dallas to the playoffs, and I think really wants to try to justify Nico Harrison's faith and investment in him. So there's a lot going on in this. A lot of it's very weird. It's all very unique, but it's going to be very emotionally charged.
I need to correct you on something. It's all weird. All of it is weird. And, the compete, because like if Dallas, you could say like Mavs fans want Luka to score 60, but the Mavs to win. Okay, well, that doesn't really teach Nico Harrison a lesson, does it? Like if Luka drops 50, but Dallas still wins, it's like, well, look, we won the game. Like look at what Anthony Davis must have had a good game in that scenario. Like, why, what are we complaining about here? Like, you can win without Luka Doncic. but if they lose, obviously that hurts them in a playoff. It's like I know people have sort of blown off the 9 and the 10 because the top 8 in the West have been so much more competitive, and Phoenix doesn't seem to want to be there, and it's just like it's just ugliness down the line. But I wouldn't pick Dallas, especially without Kyrie, to beat anyone, but that's still like a lot of length. It's a lot of things. They're healthy. They're probably better than, they're certainly better than like the 9 coming out of the East. That's for damn sure. So it's just the whole thing is strange. And the part that I think is, there are some numbers that I think are what I think Luka really wants to see. The numbers for the Lakers with Luka on the floor defensively are better when he plays. The number, I saw this today too, when Wednesday or Monday afternoon, the numbers for Dallas, and granted, AD's been in and out of the lineup and all that kind of stuff, but their defensive numbers pre-trade are better, and so what all of this really should do is put to rest the idea, and it was a stupid idea anyway, because what Dallas did last year, that Luka Doncic can't play on a good defensive team. That if you have Luka, your team is going to be deficient defensively, which is kind of the premise in a lot of ways of Nico Harrison's whole, thought process here. That and the future prospects of Luka. I mean, I think the Lakers are going to be highly motivated to both have Luka put up a big number and for them to hold Dallas to like 103 points. Like that is the perfect outcome for the Lakers that they'll be pushing for on Wednesday night.
I am so interested to see the mood and vibe of this crowd. It's really rare that in the regular season I've ever wanted to attend a road game, but I really would love to be in Dallas for this game, just because I think the vibe for this one is going to be so uniquely bizarre and so memorably bizarre. And I am a massive fan of awkward comedy. So I would love to be in the building for this one.
Yeah, me too. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens. Maybe they won't even need to win after the zombie Lakers shock the world. The potential zombie Lakers, we don't know for sure, shock the world in Oklahoma City on Tuesday. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 34,000 subscribers to the channel. We'll, of course, be back after the game to talk about who played and who didn't, and looking forward to Wednesday's game. We'll see everyone later.